Los Angeles, I'm and most Hollywood nights. She goes to California, oh, California.
California. What you say about Los Angeles?
LA got the people saying.
You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. It's time for another episode of Corner of the Galaxy from the Box, the show that gets you behind the scenes of the LA Galaxy and into the minds of soccer reporters and MLS experts. Your hosts for the day are Corner of the Galaxy's Josh Guesman and LA Times soccer reporter Kevin Baxter. Let's start the show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Corner of the Galaxy from the Box on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Coming to you on a Monday, April 21st. The LA Galaxy 1-0 losers to Austin over the weekend. I feel like we've been telling this story a lot. 9 straight games now without a win for the LA Galaxy. Their worst start in franchise history. The worst ever start of a defending MLS Cup champion as well. So lots of crazy stuff going on, and I'm not sure it gets any saner. Certainly with maybe some expectations that there will be some LA Galaxy players missing whenever they take on Portland this weekend. So I would normally kick it over to the Panda, but he's traveling away with the Kings, getting ready for them and their playoffs. So you are stuck with me today for the next, let's say 30 to 45 minutes, because it's been a very, very long day here in the COG household. And so much like the LA Galaxy not winning today for the COG household, but that's okay. We'll come back a little stronger. We'll regroup. We'll do all those fun things. I'm sitting here trying to parse or trying to understand exactly what is we've seen from the LA Galaxy, because if I go and I watch the Austin game, again, a 1-0 loss. If I go and watch that Austin game, I can find lots of reasons to be optimistic about the LA Galaxy. 80 degrees there, early morning, a relatively strong lineup. I think one that we expected it to be. And you're finally seeing, again, that the LA Galaxy are getting back into a position where you're saying, okay, they are back in sort of a lineup that I expect, in a position that I expect, and maybe it's too much to ask of them to go on the road. We talked about it on Thursday. We knew that Austin was going to have a reaction from their 5-1 drubbing up in Vancouver. We knew that there was going to be a reaction there. We knew the LA Galaxy needed to show a reaction. We knew that it was going to be a clash of these reactions. And maybe that's what we saw in this game. Certainly plenty of chances for the LA Galaxy to score a goal in this. I think Austin had plenty of chances to score goals too, and they struggled to do so. That being said, is the 1-0 scoreline sort of fair? It certainly is fair by way of how things have been going for the LA Galaxy. I thought the goal was unlucky, but again, they get lucky and they get a save from John McCarthy, and by the way, no luck involved in that. It was a great save by John McCarthy on a penalty kick. It's just, I'm trying to put into an understanding here that the LA Galaxy, the way they are playing, which again, I don't think is bad, but it's certainly not great, can't buy themselves a win. And so every time they seem to be on the precipice of doing that and taking a game, well into the, 80th minute, being 0-0 on the road is a great step for the LA Galaxy. Didn't shoot themselves in the foot too many times, right? How many times have we talked about that for the LA Galaxy, where there's been mistakes made when they've had problems caused. They cause their own problems. They cause their own mistakes. With a back line with Eric Zavaleta in there, I think there were certainly a lot of chances for mistakes to be caused. But that didn't happen in this game. at this point, I think we're falling into my roulette sort of talking points, right? We have always talked about the roulette and how that's supposed to work, right? Which is, as many times as the ball lands on red, if it keeps landing on red, then the chances of it being black obviously have to be going up. At this point, the LA Galaxy are going to stumble into a win more than they're actually just going to outright win something. I thought John McCarthy after the game, with all the F-bombs he was dropping, was perfectly correct in his assumptions, which, hey, it's an inch one way or an inch the other way. The problem is the LA Galaxy have been having all the inches go the other way right now. And I think that's fair. But at some point, this has to change, right? This is not an acceptable way for the LA Galaxy to play. Whether that is a hangover from last season, and certainly I do think that there's some of that, whether it was changes in the roster, and we could go over those ad nauseum again, ultimately it doesn't matter. Ultimately, where the LA Galaxy are at right now is that they don't have a win in Major League Soccer. They've gone 9 games without a win. They have 3 total points in the entire league. Eventually, something has to change for them. And what is it? Is it mentality? I mean, I'm sure if we just even fast forward and talking in broad strokes about the end of the game, let's talk about the end of the game and all the brouhaha and fisticuffs and kerfuffles that took place there after the whistle. You would think that we would learn something maybe from that, but to me, it just shows a frustrated team. And I know, and Greg Vanney talked about it, that this has been brewing over the last couple games, even from last year with the tackles they had on Ricky, and then the tackles that they had in preseason on Gabe, and all the things that have sort of been going through. And yet, it's, we'll see what the disciplinary committee comes out with, but it's going to be the LA Galaxy down Joseph Paintsill if all goes sort of in the direction it seems it could. So again, you're going to go against Portland. You're missing a designated player. You're down to 1/3 of your designated players again. You finally got Joseph Paintsill back, and you're losing him. At this point, it is a lack of discipline. And Greg Vanney has to own that. He can call it fight, and I'm sure the players want to fight. I'm sure Diego Fagundes, I'm sure John McCarthy, I'm sure all those guys, they want to back up their guy. They want to do the thing they had. But that is unacceptable from a team that doesn't have a win to then handicap themselves again. Because you've seen that they had to play this game without Zonka because he got a red card. They're missing Maya Yoshida, so Eric Zavaleta has to get in there. You're finally in a position where, and we talked to Will Kuntz last Monday night, you're finally in a position where you have guys lined up in the positions that you kind of want them. Outside of, Maya Yoshida not being there, Zonka not being there, the LA Galaxy have their A1 starting lineup, and they finally have an offensive flow that you're like, hey, they may get something out of this. And the counterattacks were there. Gabriel Peck had a good game, except he didn't bury any. Greg Vanney said so afterwards. But where's the lack of discipline after this to be like, yeah, you know what? These guys kicked some people. They did some things. And yes, we're frustrated because we haven't. I get all of it building up. But show me something. The fighting doesn't show me anything. Fighting from a winning team shows me something. Fighting from a losing team says that once again, you lost and then you decided to fight afterwards. Again, I get the idea of backing guys up, but you are hurting yourself for the next game if that comes down the way it is. So my whole thing is that you need to keep improving. And I don't know that this was a step forward, but on the road early in the day against an Austin team again that was looking for reaction off of Vancouver, it's not an unexpected result. I said it on Thursday. You have to prove to me that you're going to win. And so far, this LA Galaxy team hasn't done that. So that's some of the stuff that I think we can touch on here a little bit. And certainly we want to get to Super Chats tonight. Without Kevin, it's me and you guys, and we get to talk this out a little bit and do it. Adam apparently hit the lottery because he's throwing all his Super Chats in there. He says, $5 Super Chat. I know you guys said there's no need to panic, but when is that moment? When is the moment to? Are you worried about last season? You worried about this season? You worried about next season? You sort of have to figure out what it is. The Galaxy are now in a position where 25% of the season is gone. They don't have a win. Trying to get into the playoffs will be difficult. Now, do we think that that's impossible? No, we don't. But if this doesn't change, I think somebody said something. Either they texted it to me or it was on Twitter or anything like that. Winning's a habit, so is losing, right? And right now the LA Galaxy are in the habit of not getting points. And so you have to change that. I'll tell you, they're going to fall into one. They're not going to go winless. All right, this team is not bad. This is not a bad team. Again, by the way, we're also at the point where Sasha Kleshin's words come back is basically, you are what the standings say you are. So right now, the LA Galaxy are exactly what the standings say they are. All right, if you want to look at that in the Western Conference and see what that makes you feel like over there, that is 4 points clear of the 14th place team. The LA Galaxy are in 15th, 0.33 points per game. That's where the LA Galaxy are right now. All right, 0-3-1 at home, 3 losses at home, 3 losses on the road. 1 draw at home, 2 draws on the road. That's it. That's the only thing. Adam with $2 super chat says, honestly, don't know when the team will get their win. Yeah, well, the good news is that they're not relying on you to figure that out. This is part of that battle. They're getting to the point where it either boils over or it breaks, right? And the interesting part about that is, and somebody asked me on Twitter before we started this, they said, so Greg Vanney has to be on the hot seat now. And I said, the great news about that is I don't have to answer that for you. I don't have to tell you whether Greg Vanney is on the hot seat because Will Kuntz told you last week he's not, right? And that doesn't mean, does one game change it? I don't think so. I don't think that's going to be the place. But there is going to come a time where you continue to not win and something has to be done. You can't just let it sit there forever. Right. And you wonder, again, we're talking about Greg Vanney and his contract negotiations and stuff like that. Well, the LA Galaxy would probably like to negotiate right now, but I bet you that Greg Vanney's camp doesn't want to negotiate, not with, having not won a game. And granted, at the beginning of the season, it was probably the complete opposite, right? Is Greg Vanney who's like, hey, let's negotiate this thing right next to my MLS Cup, right? So seeing how that goes. I think the focus on Vanney at this point is useless. I mean, lots of people can talk about whatever you want. This is a team problem. This team had plenty of chances to win that game in Austin. Did we think that they were set up incorrectly? I didn't think they were set up incorrectly. Do I think that the midfield is still a major problem? Yeah, the midfield's a problem. It has been. We've been waiting for it to develop and turn. Getting Diego Fagundes into the center, that probably helps a little bit. I saw some good passes from Christian Ramirez. Gabriel Peck hits one off the post. He had 2 good saves, or 2 or 3 balls that were saved. By the way, I could go back. I was, I was busy on Saturday morning, so I didn't get to watch the game live. So I had to watch it over. And I always like watching a game after everybody has already told me that it's the worst thing they've ever saw. Because I actually thought it was a pretty entertaining game for moments there. But Christian Ramirez gets fouled in the box in the 2nd minute, and there's no penalty kick. By the way, if you go watch that, it is innocuous in terms of how the announcers handled it and how the referees handled it. But Christian Ramirez is running out of the box, and he gets an elbow into the center of his back, and there's no call. It's like, this is the type of stuff that's hurting the Galaxy right now. The John Nelson penalty kick, absolutely a penalty kick. How about you don't let the 2nd and 3rd ball come back in there? How about Nelson doesn't have to go. There's 2 guys there, and they misplace sort of where he's going to the line and stuff like that. Yeah, there's problem. John McCarthy comes up with a huge save. And then the goal that ends up going in there is a deflected ball. You can look at the XG on this game, and it shows that Austin had the higher XG. You have to take about 0.7 of that away from them for the penalty kick, right? So take it down to 2.3, but that's still double what the LA Galaxy had. That being said, you can't tell me that Gabriel Peck didn't deserve a goal in the game. So, these are the things that you have to look at and sort of look at it. Is Greg Vanney the same coach who got the LA Galaxy and MLS Cup the year before? Yes. Is Greg Vanney the same coach who missed the playoffs 2 out of the 3 years? I think before that, yes. What do you want to do if you're the LA Galaxy? Again, you have to decide. We talked about this before. I think there's definitely overreaction within the fan base, which is normally the case. But I definitely think that is Dan Beckerman paying attention to the LA Galaxy right now and looking at Will Kuntz's job as Patrick suggests in here? No, he's not. Not right now. Will Kuntz isn't going to get fired over this. If anybody goes, it's going to be Vanney next, right? Will Kuntz just got brought in. We know how these things go. This is normal coaching carousel stuff. This is not difficult to figure out. Don't overthink it. All right. Adam, $10 super chat. Galaxy are last in the Western Conference right now and last in the league behind Montreal this season. Is there anything that can be changed with lineup or tactics that hasn't been changed yet? I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think there's changes to be made? I don't. Get healthy, get people in there. Go for it. This is the team the LA Galaxy have put together. It's not as bad as winless in 9. I also don't have to defend them. They haven't won a game in 9 games. Try doing anything to change that. Gus, $5 super chat. In Vanney, I trust. Got to bounce. Love you guys. G's up. So this is where you're at right now. The LA Galaxy had to shred their midfield, and I talk about it a lot in the Discord, and I realize that not everybody who listens to our podcast is in the Discord, but there has been waxing poetical, and there, as normal, there are many conspiracy theories that are floated around in the Discord. Well, they could have done this differently. They could have done that, which is what fans do and what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to second guess everything that goes on, but you weren't keeping Mark Delgado, and everybody thinks that there's these magical. You get rid of Marco Royce and you keep Mark Delgado. Unlikely. I don't think the LA Galaxy wanted to give him the years. I think that was the big deal. The years. Yes, there was a pay raise and some other things, but it was the total length of contract. So I don't think that was happening, but certainly you miss somebody like Mark Delgado. You know, you have to try to get Cerrillo, who I think has been doing an admirable job trying to piece all this together and keeping that going. I think you have to get, and by the way, there's players you're going to have to play that you guys are going to have to continue to play Sanabria. So that way he can develop and find a way into this lineup and find the space that he's supposed to, because they brought him in to be an integral part of this lineup. So that you're going to have to play Nascimento. And seeing Nascimento come in the 83rd minute or something like that and not really do much, I mean, okay, you're going to have to keep playing him in those positions. That's it. He's getting the Dejan Joveljic minutes that Dejan got at the very beginning whenever he was a young player coming in and trying to do this. So those are the things that you have to keep doing. And if you want to be good next year, when you have room to move, to make moves, and I know that the LA Galaxy still have the ability to make moves coming up here in the summer. Is it going to be a lot of moves? No. But do you think that they don't know where they need places and people to be? I think they do. I think you're looking at that midfield and what you can do and how you can strengthen and maybe have more of a veteran presence. So, Juan, by the way, thank you for the $5 super chat. Appreciate that. Adam, $2 super chat. Do you ever think MLS will change salary cap rules? Sure. They'll just keep going up. They change rules all the time. Will they have any big deals? The big fight right now, Adam, is that there are owners who want to spend more money, and then there are owners who don't want to spend more money. And how do you do that for the whole league? How do you make that possible for the whole league, right? And when you have a set of owners that don't want to spend money and a set of owners that do, and I think it's about 2/3 to a third, probably somewhere in there. But go look at some of so you can call out the teams that probably don't want to spend money, that are like, no, we're already spending too much money. Calm down. We don't need to spend any. Slow it down. Just go look at the teams that are routinely in those bottom halves. They're sort of like, we don't need to spend any more money. We're good. They like the parity. They like the fact that the best team in Major League Soccer last year is now the worst team in Major League Soccer this year, right? Balances everything out. By the way, every single one of you who are in the chat room would have sold if I told you could have a 6th MLS Cup, but you would go winless through the first 9 games in 2025 and maybe miss the playoffs in 2025. You'd still take it for what it was in 2024. So it wasn't the wrong call in 2024 to go all in. Right? I want to make a t-shirt that says this. They don't take the cups out of the trophy cabinet, right? Those stay forever. So you won that. It's there. But it's a slog right now. Got to get more out of the midfield. Got to figure out a way to stay that a little bit more organized. I thought the transition moments were there in this Austin game. I really do. I really thought that the LA Galaxy were going to get a goal off that, and Gabriel Peck just so close. The one that he went near post, he went far post, and then he cut back and he went near post, and it clipped off the upper V. And I thought that one was the goal that was going to finally count. So, if this ends up being sort of the rebuilding year, and certainly looking at the players that had to develop over the time with Greg Vanney that led to 2024, and I still argue that 2023 should have been the year that the Galaxy really competed, but because of the injuries, because of everything they had, it didn't work, and of course because of the turmoil in the front office and everything. I mean, 2023 was a disaster of a year. This isn't that year yet. This at this point it almost feels the same, right? So seeing that in this game, again, I thought everything was there for them. I really did. I really thought that the Galaxy had most of it together in this game for large periods of times, almost 50-50 possession for a team that likes to maybe play a little bit more possession in Austin, and having 50-50 on the road means the Galaxy were in control of large parts of that. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. If you told me that was going to be what was happening, that's how the Galaxy, if you told me it was going to be 50-50 possession, I would have figured that the LA Galaxy would be in that game, and they were. So for me, it's difficult to sort of parse some of that. Greg Vanney, on his thoughts for the team, he goes, I thought when you kind of aggregate the 90 minutes, we have probably as good a chances as many good chances as we've had all season. Gabe is into some great spots and some good looks. I think Joe had one. So I think, on the attacking side, again, not all things perfect on the build. I think we lost some balls in some situations that we shouldn't. But I felt like in terms of chance creation, it was a good night for us on the side. We just didn't take anything out of it. We didn't execute on the final action. I mean, when a Greg Vanney team struggles, this is what we see, right? We see the inability to get sort of that one. I think Sergio has something. $2 super chat says, seems we were closer to a win earlier this season. You were 100%. You were. The LA Galaxy were closer to a win. This wasn't a step backwards against Austin, but it wasn't a step forward, right? You could say maybe the offense took a step forward, and then can you grade the defense? Overall, I thought the defense played well. I mean, you give up one goal, the penalty kick is the bad one, and I'm sure Nelson will say that he shouldn't have gone in on that. There was also some anticipation of contact there, but what are you going to do? There's just little things that the LA Galaxy, they're getting all the luck the LA Galaxy had last year, and I don't want to say that they were super lucky, but all the luck the Galaxy had last year, they're not having this year, that's for sure. All the things are going against them. I mean, that's why I think you can almost count on a disciplinary committee coming out and possibly tossing Paintsel or something else. I heard that you saw some videos and some stuff, and maybe you could sort of see that there were some punches thrown or at least stuff. But I mean, there's so much going on in that. So we'll see. They have a whole bunch of cameras. They'll be able to figure that out. And quite honestly, there won't be any defense for somebody like Joseph Paintsel, who I really like, but is emotional. And I think this is another hallmark of Greg Vanney teams. We talked about this in 2023 and earlier, is the emotional state of the LA Galaxy and whether this team can get too emotional. And I think you're finding that with the frustration building the way that it has, that they right now feel, I think they feel like I feel like they're too emotional. This is this again, I talk about the ups and downs and what that means and how the reason 2024 felt so good is because you guys were down in the depths before that, right? This is the roller coaster. It's the peaks and valleys. You're in the valley. You're in a valley again. It'll feel okay once the Galaxy start winning. And I do believe this is the type of team that could go on and win 3, 4, 5 in a row, right? And so you sort of feel like, okay, but again, until they show you that, I'm not sure that anybody can sit here and defend the LA Galaxy. I don't want to sit here and defend the LA Galaxy. I feel like sometimes it's my fault. It's my job because I feel like people are really, really, again, I get it. Nine games without a win. I don't even know if that's overreaction at this point. But I will tell you that my eyes tell me this isn't a bad team, but it's not a good team right now. And if we're going by the standings, you can tell me where the LA Galaxy sit right now. But if the LA Galaxy go off and play against the worst team in the league right now, would you think the LA Galaxy would win that game or would they lose that game? Or would you, at this point, are we not in a position to do that? Right? I want to see what happens and, again, what the reaction is. But they're going to hamstring themselves, and they have nobody to blame but themselves. You're going to get Zonka back and possibly lose Paintsel, and probably the most important pieces on the field right now are going to be Gabriel Peck and Joseph Paintsel, 2 of your 3 designated players. You absolutely have to keep them on the field for the rest of the year. So the Galaxy are going to be crossing their fingers that they still have Joseph Paintsel coming up this weekend. Fotmob even said this wasn't a bad performance for a lot of guys. Diego Fagundes at 6.6 in the middle. Parente at 6.6. Cerrillo at 6.9. Garcett's at 7.4. McCarthy 8.0. Best of the bunch. John McCarthy gets to take a bow. John McCarthy gets to take a little I told you so I can play, because he played really well in this game. John McCarthy was doing all the things that you wanted John McCarthy to do. Greg Vanney said, yeah, I think John again had some good saves today, and that's kind of what he was for us last year in those 1 or 2 moments where you need your keeper to come up big. He was there. Collectively this year, I think we've compounded more errors and moments, whether those are starting ahead of John or, he's been involved in a couple, as have plenty of guys. I feel like we just are always going to make errors in the game of soccer. It's going to happen. It's a matter of not compounding them, and when an error happens, we've got to close off. I mean, talking about John McCarthy. Let's go back to what John McCarthy had to say this. Yeah, it's frustrating. You want to win. I want to win. I don't like losing, but I want to win at everything I do. I know a lot of people on the team do. We just have to have that killer mentality. There's 2 or 3 moments in the games that we just F ourselves throughout the season. I've been no problem putting my hands up. I messed up at some points. I think it's just little details and focus, and it comes down to how we act on the training field and putting effort into the game, so it's just super frustrating. We've had moments where we should win games, and obviously you can't win every game, and moments where we should lose games, but I think this is one where, especially coming off last league, I think we all believe that we could have won that game, and I think easily we could have won this game as well. It's a tough place to be in, but you can't effing pout about it. You just have to move on, and you have to have the killer mentality and then get a win at home. He says on if he feels one win can sort of put this team in a run. Yeah, of course. It's not a single individual is going to win us a game, and not a single individual is going to lose us a game, and I've said that before. It's got to be a total team effort for 90 minutes, locked in, dialed in, focused. All right. Yeah, one win could change our whole season around. I've been part of teams where you start slow and you catch fire and you go on great runs, or you start great, slow down in the middle third. And kind of like last year, we slowed down a little bit towards the end of the season and had the first place in our grasp, and things worked out. So there's going to be ups and downs throughout the season, and obviously we're down now. So we just have to find a way to get out of it. You can't mope and pout. You can't effing dwell on things. The game is over. Yeah, it sucks, but we have to win at home. We've got to find that killer mentality again. I do appreciate the F-bombs by John McCarthy, by the way. John, I hope you don't get in trouble. By the way, guys pointing out Stuver with the 8.3. 100% Stuver on the other side. I don't think he was crazy. I don't think he was crazy good, but he made all the stops that he was supposed to. You had Hines back there who got the 2 yellow cards and then eventually the red in the 92nd. And that dude was fouling people like crazy. But again, it comes down to the LA Galaxy and whether or not they're strong enough, mentally strong enough to be able to compete this year. I don't know. Maybe they're done this year. Maybe this wraps them up. Maybe they're too fragile. But watching the LA Galaxy come through and play in this game, I didn't get the sense that they gave up or quit, but I did not like the frustration at the end. I understand. I know everybody's. I know who's frustrated. The fans are frustrated. I know the fans want to throw punches and get angry and go. Maybe the LA Galaxy should arrange for some axe throwing for LA Galaxy fans or something like that to relieve some of the tension. You need to throw something or go light off fireworks. In a safe and controlled manner, of course. All of these things under the correct supervision of experts. But there needs to be. How do you break this? What do you in the chat room? What's your best way to break a streak and try to keep it PG? Because I know that there are non-PG ones there. So, but how do you break a streak? I mean, we sacrificing a chicken. I mean, what's going on? We're going back to Major League. Is this Bull Durham? Is let's see. I can't even remember. We're looking for some candlesticks out there. I'm waiting for the chat room to catch up to me a little bit. But here's the thing. We're all excited to go on Sunday, right? Like, I have like the world's busiest weekend coming up. It starts on Friday morning and it just goes until Sunday night. And that's a lot of fun, but it's also a lot of work. But I want to get back to the stadium on Sunday night because I know it's coming. You guys know it's coming too. We got to feel it. Let's pause for a second while we get to stress ball giveaway night from Alexis. I like that. If we win a game, it'll feel like winning the championship at this point. Not wrong. It's crazy the LA Galaxy go all the way through the playoffs and don't lose a game and come in and now can't win a game. Mr. Ravino goes Major League, the movie, and Jobu needs a drink. Jobu, you don't drink Jobu's rum. That's a bad idea. Fire someone and they will play well. I mean, I want to know. I would like to say that I already suggested that they fire somebody, and nobody listened to me, and we're still in the spot. So maybe we get it. Maybe we get it right. Maybe if I miss the game on Sunday and they win, am I allowed to go back to the stadium? Are you guys going to let me, or do I have to stay away for the rest of the year? I would just like to know. I just want to know ahead of time, because I have a really busy weekend and maybe there's like 50-50 chance I don't make it. And so if they win then against Portland, does that mean I can't come back to the stadium? You guys can let me know on that one. I do want to take it a little more serious note for a second. It's a sad day. It's a sad day here at the COG family and for LA Galaxy fans and for soccer fans in Southern California. For as long as I've been coming to the stadium, I've had limited but wonderful interactions with a man that I used to call Mr. Mustache. As I was an up-and-coming reporter and sort of occasionally akin to asking referees questions, I was introduced to a gentleman, had the most perfect, amazing mustache that I've ever seen. And this isn't a bit, this isn't anything that's going on, but it was his signature move. Always dressed perfectly, hair always in place, mustache thicker than the Black Forest of Germany, just sitting above that upper lip in the most presidential way that you could ever imagine. And I asked one time, what's that guy's name? Like, I see him all the time. He's always down on the field. He's walking with the ball. He deals with the referees. What's his name? And they're like, that's Tranquilo. And I'd be like, the white boy in me was like, what? And it's like, that's Tranquilo. I'm like, no, what's his name? And like, everybody calls him Tranquilo. So I know you've seen Tranquilo before. Julio Tranquilo Davila was the gentleman that you saw out there. And this gorgeous dark mustache. And he was in charge of dealing with the referees, and he was always a staple. If you saw him walking out, you knew soccer was about to start, right? You'd see him out with the ball or dealing with the referees or sitting at the main scorer's table. And then behind the scenes, he was a beloved member around the LA Galaxy. I've seen lots of people talk about how amazing he was, but he dealt with the referees. It was funny. I'll tell you a quick story. One is that I only called him Tranquilo. Whenever anybody asked, he was saying Tranquilo. And by the way, that was usually his response to things, was Tranquilo, Tranquilo. Let's see. I got to try to find this because I found this pretty amazing. But we got reached out to by an amazing referee, Corey Rockwell. Actually reached out and was sharing a little bit of a story. Let's see if I can find it here, because I know I just saw it and I even retweeted it. This is what happens when you have to do something on your own. By the way, I blame Kevin for all this, because normally I can find these things really well. Here we go, from Corey Rockwell. He writes a story and he shows a picture of Tranquilo driving in a car, and I think he's got the referees in him, and he goes, Corey Rockwell says, Julio, Google Maps says to get off at the next exit. Julio, no, Google Maps. I use www.tranquilo.com. And Corey says, for some reason that I love now, I took a photo of that moment. I will miss him dearly. That's where we're at. So his family is putting together a GoFundMe. Tranquilito, who's his son, who is a listener to the podcast on occasion, and reached out to me. I have the utmost respect for this man and everything that he did. And Tranquilo, teaching a white boy to chill a little bit, is a pretty interesting one. And while my interactions were not many, usually just passing a note between the referee's locker room or anything else, I'm going to miss him dearly. Because for me and everything that I've been doing around covering the game for 17 years, he was always an integral part of that. It's just, I didn't think it was going to hit me as much as it did. And today I realized that it did. Actually, one of my good friends, Eric, and different Eric than the Hammer, reached out to me and he goes, "Hey, I heard Tranquilo passed away." And I just saw the news about 20 seconds before that. This is a fan who has been going to the Galaxy games pretty much, I think, as long as I have. I think Eric might even have been going longer. But he knew who Tranquilo was, right? And he asked me not too long ago, "What's that guy's name?" I go, "That's Tranquilo." Right? And I go, "That's the man, the mustached man, the most perfect mustache you've ever seen, that jet black hair with that little salt and pepper in it sometimes. Just an amazing man." So, Tranquilo, we will miss you very, very much. I will miss you very much. It will not be the same. I have been told, and we're waiting on 100% confirmation on this, but the referees will be wearing black armbands for the passing of Tranquilo as a very honored special guest. A gentleman who worked very hard to make sure soccer happened in Southern California, who loved the LA Galaxy, and was there for, I think, almost every game at Dignity Health Sports Park for forever. I don't know that he ever missed a game. So if you can, this is a big one. I'm asking, and I know you guys will pull through. But if you can, help out his family. I've retweeted the GoFundMe, and we'll make sure that we'll put a link to that in the show notes as well. So just a little break there in some of that stuff. We go back to the normally scheduled part of the show. We can look a little bit at the designated player minutes here. 40.7% of the total available minutes have you had Gabriel Peck and Joseph Paintzel this year. So not a ton. Again, Gabriel Peck almost at that 90% mark, and Joseph Paintzel just coming into that 1/3. So just 40% of the total minutes that have been played this year have had designated players on them. That is a considerable amount of missing time, and we know that Ricky Push still out for quite a while. And so just comparing that to last year, again, the LA Galaxy finished with 80% of the total minutes, 82.5% of the total available minutes being played by your designated players. Your most important players need to be on the field, and when they're not, they are struggling. That hurts. The winning percentage and all this stuff is getting to be pretty humorous here. That would be 0% win percent through 9 games. 0-6-3. The Galaxy have a losing percentage of 66.7%. So 2/3 of the time the LA Galaxy have lost, only 1/3 of the time have the Galaxy gotten a point or better. And in this case, it wasn't better. It was only just the point. So we've been watching that. The struggle on offense continues as well. Home points, not as important this year so far. Need to start being much more important. So certainly something to watch there. We didn't need that slide there. But here it is. This is the LA Galaxy through all of their MLS Cup winning years. The LA Galaxy currently sitting at 3 points through 9 games. They are so far away from even the low. So they're basically 7 points away from the MLS Cup winning team that was probably 2014. That ended up being one of the lower point getting, teams that ended up winning an MLS Cup. They're 7 points away from that. Does that make you feel better that if you're just 7 points away, maybe you can reach out and grab that and still do something? Maybe. But then you can also go to the total LA Galaxy over 30 seasons now, 30 seasons for Major League Soccer. In 30 seasons, no LA Galaxy team has ever had this few points through 9. The other one is 4 points, and that was in 1997. That's not even modern era, right? So you are significantly behind the 8 ball. This is what this is about. You are significant behind the 8 ball. At this point, the LA Galaxy last year had 15 more points than the LA Galaxy have right now at 18 points. That's where they were in 2024 through 9 games. What a difference a year makes. You can also go back to 2023. They had twice as many points, but still just 3 more points in that total in 2023. So how do we look at that, and how can we sort of look, hey, is there a chance that that's still a playoff team? And it's starting to get more and more squeezed on this, that's for sure. 0.33 points per game. I believe that's still correct right now. So the LA Galaxy is struggling with that. And then the goals for me. That's where it's taken. The Galaxy scored almost 70 goals last year. They scored 69. They gave up 50. Right now, they're on pace to score 22.7 goals in 34 games. 22.7 goals in 34 games. That would be the lowest total since I've been keeping track since 2018. And it's not even close. The lowest one is 41. Yeah, 41 in 2020. And that was a 22-game season, so we had to predict that over 34 games. So they would have scored 41 goals in 34 games. But 22.7, that's where you're at. So 23 goals scored. They're up on pace to give up 60.4 on the higher end. But certainly in 2023, They had 67.0. I will tell you this, that a lot of the time last year, the defense was sort of hovering around this 60. And that they eventually brought that down through a stretch in the last games to sort of keep that under those 10. So I'll say that right now, at least of how I'm looking at it, the defense isn't the worst part, isn't getting worse. It's the offense. The offense is struggling, right? And that's about getting Joseph Paintsel on the field. That's about getting Gabriel Peck on the field. That's about getting Diego Fagundes to try to connect with Christian Ramirez. I mean, Ramirez got 4 goals in 4 games, and then all of a sudden now it's been super quiet again. So Galaxy have to figure that part out. All right. And certainly on the transition moments, the Galaxy need to be more dangerous. There's just not enough bodies on those transition moments. Remember last year how many people would just be crashing the net whenever the balls would finally be coming in from the side, and how there were always, you had Ricky on the cutback. You had the ability to pass it across to Joseph Paintsel. Dejan Joveljic would be running near post. Gabriel Peck would be feeding, cutting inside from the right-hand side. There were so many options, and you're not seeing that from the LA Galaxy. So for me, it's offense. It's offense, offense, offense. The offense needs to find this. And if the offense can start scoring, the goals against on the defense will start coming down, because you don't have to be perfect all the time, and you'll be able to take more chances on that. Again, just through 9 games, 6 goals scored so far, 16 goals conceded, -10 in terms of the goal differential. We go to the points per month for the LA Galaxy. Yeah, there you go. There's not a green W on there. All right, there should be a green W, but there is not. There's not there has been no win. This is what we started in February. That first game was a loss, right? Then you went through and rolled all the way through March with 2 draws and 3 losses, and you're like, okay, something's definitely going to change in April. This is why you, like, if you're betting, right? You can't bet on the LA Galaxy. You'd have to wipe them they're not predictable right now. And funny enough, they're probably too predictable on the field in terms of how they're playing to sort of change that. The Galaxy have to get more out of, and I think Commercial Underground, the era of MLS, the U22s have to hit. One of the reasons the Galaxy were so good is that they had U22 and Dejan Joveljic that was killing it. You're resetting now. Nascimento, U22. You can look at Sanabria in the center. Sorry, just total brain fart. Just really struggling today. Looking at Sanabria has to show up. So there's got to be chances and times in this where the Galaxy have to get a little bit more out of what they're seeing, right? Marco Reus comes on in this game. I think Greg hinted at the problem, saying you need to get Marco Reus more dangerous. I think he passed out of one decent chance in there. But you have to get Marco Reus more dangerous. You have to get Julian Aude, who's a U22, more involved in these games now too. John Nelson is fine. Julian Aude is the guy who's going to probably save you on some of this stuff. I really believe that. And I like John Nelson. I really do. He is that go-to defender, but he's not involved in the offense as much as he was last year. And because of that, the LA Galaxy are struggling. Any more questions and super chats, make sure you hit them into the chat there. But you have to get Aude in there. You have to be able to get guys like Royce to be healthy. And I think that was a step forward in this game. I don't know what. I'm waiting. I'm going to be patient on Royce. As a targeted allocation money player, there's the ability to be patient. And last year, the LA Galaxy didn't need him. The Galaxy are going to want to be more dependent on him. And that means that he's going to have to provide a little bit more coming off the bench. But, Marco Reus at a 6.9 in terms of a FOT mob, that's almost a 7. 7s are green. You're not far off from the rest of the play. I mean, a 6.9 on the field is going to put you, Gabriel Peck had a 7.4. Garces had a 7.4. McCarthy had an 8.0. So it wasn't great. It wasn't exactly what you needed, but the LA Galaxy had enough to try and win this game. So how do things change? You got to keep Joseph Paintsel on the field. You have to keep Paintsel on the field. For me, I'm going to start playing Aude more. Start putting him on the field because there's more offensive stuff. You're struggling offensively. Give me offensive options. I'm going to keep Fagundes in that central spot if I can. I'm going to keep Parente on the field for a while, but you're going to have to start playing Sanabria if you want this team to develop in the way that the Galaxy expect that to develop, right? They went out and got Sanabria for a reason. So he should be coming in and playing in these games and trying to make a difference with Cerrillo. But Parente has played really well. It's hard to keep him off. I mean, well in the fact that Parente creates a more functioning midfield than so far Sanabria does. But you paid the money for Sanabria. Sanabria is the guy who you want to develop. U22s are about developing. Yes, you need your U22s to hit. They also need to be effective while they are growing. And that's what we need to see out of the LA Galaxy. We need to see Nascimento. We need to see Sanabria. We need to see Aude. Those are the three big names. Those are basically like other designated players that you get to bring in. They're just younger, right? So you're not risking as much. Marco Reus, now that he was back, hopefully he survived that particular outing, and you'll see him against Portland. And maybe that can change things up. Diego Fagundes, going to have to pick this team up, put him on the back, and try to figure out a way to create stuff for him. All right, the Galaxy are in all-out emergency mode now. Here you go. We're playing roulette. It's been red, 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 red. Black has to come up eventually. But the good thing about soccer is there's skill involved. And that means the Galaxy have to get over that hump. Yeah, it's interesting to me. I was skeptical of Royce returning and seeing how that was going to go about. Because I felt that there was definitely a chance that could have been it for him. And so if there's any other road bumps, what happens with the LA Galaxy? And Marco Reus, because I don't know that there's a lot of leash left there for him to sort of just be injured and sit off to the side. That could mean season-ending injury list, that type of thing. Anything else, and maybe it's time for Marco Reus to say, I'm done with soccer. The guy, it's not because Marco Reus isn't trying to take care of his body. He's just got a lot of miles logged on that thing at this point. So the Galaxy need more out of them. They need a little bit more out of a couple players, and the LA Galaxy will start winning games. But they have to be mentally disciplined. They have to be emotionally disciplined. They have to be physically disciplined in terms of their positioning and everything they play. They know how to play these games. They have played these games before. They just need some offense. And that offense needs to come through Joseph Paintsel, Gabriel Peck, and Christian Ramirez. And Christian Ramirez needs to step it up. That's one of the guys who's going to get called out. Christian Ramirez needs to step it up. He's a veteran. He knows what he's doing. He needs to be able to find the right places to be, and he had that for a little bit. They were finding those places, and all of a sudden, the Galaxy have lost that again. Maybe the adjustment of Joseph Paintsel coming in has changed things. Maybe the way the Galaxy are building has changed things. It should, because the Galaxy now can break a lot faster. But getting to the box in the right spot, the right time, and then getting those late runners in behind. The offense is the problem right now. And the defense is going to try to hold on just as long as they possibly can. All right. So that's where I stand on this particular moment with the LA Galaxy. I'm not sure that there are positives, again, to take away from Austin. At least not enough positives to sit there and jump up and go, oh, I feel great about coming up on Saturday. I want to hear, and this is a personal preference for me, I want to hear the LA Galaxy talk probably on Friday, because we're a Sunday night game. Let me make sure. Sorry, I'm getting texts and tweets and everything. I want you guys to know that whenever it's like a single night like tonight, it is a lot harder for me to do stuff. I need somebody to like waste minutes sometimes. I haven't done a single show in a little while, so it's not the worst thing. I actually like to do them like, once every couple months just to make sure that I can still understand how to talk to myself for an hour. If you've never done it, by the way, oh, great times. So therapeutic. Nobody to argue with but yourself. Always a good time. The LA Galaxy were training on Monday. The LA Galaxy training on Tuesday, Wednesday. The team will be off on Thursday. On Friday, there will be a press conference in the morning. Galaxy train and walkthrough on Saturday, and then the game is on Sunday. That's a 6 p.m. Pacific time. Start 6:10 p.m. is your kickoff time. The game will be live on MLS Season Pass, and the Galaxy will wrap up their series with the Portland Timbers all the way in April before everything goes off. So That's it. It was great. I got to see some LA Galaxy fans came out for our train rides that we had over Easter weekend. I hope everybody had a good weekend. We gave almost 4,000 rides. We gave 3,902 rides, as a matter of fact. Had a great time doing it. Easter Bunny was there, so we're always looking forward to that. I do have something planned with the LA Galaxy and the Train Club coming up. We're working on the final details for that, and I hope to be able to share that with you. So I hope that I see all of you down there here very, very soon to do that. So I'm exhausted. You're tired. The LA Galaxy have made us all tired. I did like I think it was Chris Tucker. And I think he said, "Oh, I forgot how it was to let 11 men in uniforms dictate my mental health." So, that's sort of where we're at. I would say don't let it dictate your mental health. Go and enjoy. You're all going to be there on Sunday. Why? Because this is what we live for. Because if the LA Galaxy start winning again, you're going to be in the right place. And you want to be there whenever that happens. All right? I'm at this point, it's like rolling dice. You're not going to lose every single game. If you're the LA Galaxy, this team is not that bad. All right. I still think this is a good team, as quite honestly. I don't know. There's going to be people in the press and certainly pundits across who will disagree with me. This is not a good team. And certainly the standings would say that. But tell me that the LA Galaxy have been outplayed multiple times this year. Tigres, maybe? So why? Why? They'll figure it out. All right. I actually believe that there's some pretty strong group of leaders in this particular one. I believe Diego Fagundes is one of those guys. I think Maya Yoshida is one of those guys. I think Marco Royce is one of those guys. Eric Zavaleta is one of those guys. John McCarthy is one of those guys. This team is not lacking leaders. Just need a little bit more calm, a little bit more poise, a little bit more focus in terms of what they're trying to do. And again, it's about being disciplined. And that's going to be on Greg Vanney. Greg has to figure that part out. How to rein these guys in, because as the losses keep coming, the frustrations will keep growing. And then it's just it's a death spiral right down. Patrick says this team has wins in it, but does it have enough wins is the question. I mean, it's a great question. I don't know. Let me see what a win looks like this year, and I'll tell you whether or not this team has good wins, right? Show me where it all goes. Miguel Berry, by the way, LA Galaxy Confidential, got it in there. Miguel Berry is a leader on this team. Everybody loves Miguel Berry. Everybody loves Miguel Berry. It's awesome. All right. LA Galaxy getting ready to play Portland Timbers on Saturday, 6 p.m., 6:10 p.m. is your kickoff time. MLS Season Live is MLS Season Pass is your live chance there to watch the LA Galaxy if you're not heading to the game. Otherwise, everybody will be there on Sunday, April 27th. It'll be a lot of fun. So we're excited to head down there. And then, of course, on Thursday, we will get you ready for that game and sort of maybe we'll have a special guest on. Maybe we need to bring on some more people. You guys tell me who you want me to bring on the podcast, and let's see if we can make it happen. All right. Anything else? No, that's it. That's all I got for today. I'm all talked out. All right. If you're looking for Mr. Kevin the Panda Baxter and check out all of his hockey coverage as the LA Kings in the Stanley Cup playoffs, he's there. He's covering check out Mr. Kevin Baxter at the LA Times at kbaxter11 on all the socials and latimes.com. Good luck, Kevin. Travel safe, and we will hopefully get him back next week, but might be traveling again as the playoffs kick off there. So if you're looking for me on any of the socials, it's at Galaxy Podcast. Head on over to cornerofthegalaxy.com for all of our wonderful information there as well. All right. LA Galaxy Portland Timbers coming up on Sunday. I'll be there. Should be. Anyway, we'll see if we make it. And then please head over to that GoFundMe for our good friend Tranquilo, who'd be very, very much missed. All right. For Mr. Kevin the Panda Baxter, who is out today, I'm Josh Guesman. You've been listening. You've been watching to Corner of the Galaxy from the box on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Have a great one, everybody.
You've been listening to the Corner of the Galaxy podcast on cornerofthegalaxy.com. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Galaxy Podcast. And be sure to check out and subscribe to iTunes, Stitcher, and Facebook by searching for Corner of the Galaxy. Fans, we thank you for listening. We ask that you be kind and courteous to your neighbors as you read the podcast. We thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you again. Until then, I'm Michael Araujo, and on behalf of the entire Corner of the Galaxy crew, goodbye.